Welcome to the Agile Localization podcast by Crowden, where we unpack the strategies and solutions that make localization fast, scalable, and efficient. I'm your host, Stefan Yui. Good morning from dark Texas. Still, I can't tell you what the weather is going to be like this morning. Maybe a bit rainy, I think, today. And we're talking with Shashi Bhushan, who is joining us from Luxembourg, where it's afternoon. What's the weather like in Luxembourg, Shashi? Is it rainy and cloudy, as I remember that region to be?
Yeah, hi Stephen. Thank you. Thank you. Morning, afternoon. So yeah, it's similar over here as well. We have rain plus the temperature is going down. So we are -1 today.
Ooh, that's
So
colder than here in Texas. So, Shashi, why don't you introduce yourself real quick to our audience and give us a little bit of information about your background and how you came to focus on localization and localization workflows in particular. We're going to be talking a lot about this today.
so I am originally trained as a journalist. That was back in India. I did my bachelor's and master's in journalism and mass communication. And started my career as a journalist, but back in 2013, I got to work on a couple of projects related to Marvel Comics. It was they wanted to localize some of their content for the Indian marketplace, and that's how I got introduced to the big world of localization. And then again in 2016, I got a chance to work on Google site. It was a vendor role for Google, and it was for their products across the Indian marketplace. So that was my full-fledged entry into the localization world. And I did a lot of localization there, be it Google Maps, Google Search, or payments, and then moved to Luxembourg for a similar profile with Amazon. And currently, I'm doing freelancing in localization and trying to improve the workflows, trying to come up with new ideas and concepts with how to use AI tools, and also how to how to help the human in the loop thing, how to help humans better using the AI tool. So yeah, here I am.
Yeah, a lot of your focus seems to be on workflow mapping. Maybe you can explain to the audience a little bit what that is and how it might help localization and how AI agents fit into that concept.
Yeah, I mean, I always try to draw an analogy from things which are more connected to us. So consider it as your as a dish you are preparing in the kitchen. So you have a sequence of events like you get the vegetables out of the refrigerator or out from your store, and you chop them. Then you pour the oil in the pan, you put your spices and vegetables. So similarly, workflow is like how the content, the source content, comes to your any tool you are using, be it Crowdin or any other translation management platform, and how you localize it into different languages if you are using multiple languages, if you are in multiple marketplaces, and then putting the right tools at the right place. So I mean, again, drawing analogy, like if you have to travel from your home to your workplace, you won't be using plane, right? You will be using bike or car or buses. So I mean, it is so to me, the workflow mapping is like knowing exactly where you need what, be it AI tools or the traditional tools. Does
Awesome.
that answer your
And
question?
yeah, that answers it. The second part of the question was how agents fit into that. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit on that
Yeah.
as well.
So yeah, so I mean, back in the days when I was working for Google projects and for Amazon also, we were doing things with machine learning and all, but it was not basically not AI agents or full-fledged AI integration into workflows. But when I started using crowding 3 years back, then came the first AI full-fledged AI workflow thing. So what we did, so I thank Crowdin for that, because they have been doing a lot of work in the back end. They have been improving the workflow, coming with agents. So how how I like my mapping, how I would like to map it is like the source text come in into your tool or your system, and sometimes what happens, irrespective of the review layers and everything, there are inconsistencies, some typos and all. So there comes the AI source text agent. It will do, I mean, once you trigger it, it will do it for you. Like it is trained on your glossy terms, and of course it has the grammar and the English knowledge in the back end. So it will do a thorough check, flag if it found any typos or any grammatical errors or any inconsistency in the English glossary. And voila, the project manager knows that there are the issues, and they can just reach out to their language lead or their translators or reviewers to correct it, so it doesn't cascade to the localized item. So this is the first step. Second step is like AI pre-translate agents. So if you have a bulk of content like 10K words or 20K words, you don't have translators to go and start it from the scratch. You would like to use the tools you have and the technology you have. You will pre-translate, and again the agents are trained on your glossaries, your term bases, your style guide, so they know where to put in what. Then comes the human in the loop thing. So your translators or reviewers will go through the content. They will see if the glossy terms were properly used or not, and then they will do the proper review. They will do the quality checks, and then it's the next step would be the AI proofreader. So if something got skipped during the human review phase, the AI agent will review that. It will put in comments there. It actually adds comment as a human reviewer, so it's pretty cool. And again, the final check before it goes to live, the language lead or the translators or the reviewers, they will have this visibility to correct those things. And it, during this step, I have this idea of creating specifically for glossary items and style guide and AI glossary agent. W- what it will do, it will only check the glossy terms consistency and uses, so that it's been a pain point for many years for the linguist who, if you have been into the language industry, you are well aware of it, that they like manually checking all those glossy terms, such a painful
Since
thing.
1999, if I
Oh,
might add. So I've
wow.
been around the block a minute, and I know what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah, so you know the pain points, and manually checking all those terms, it's such an annoying thing. So here comes the AI glossary agent. It will do so, it will cut off the entire manual work, and I think translators would be more than happy to see that. So yeah, and final stage, and then your QA comes in after the content is live, and yeah, that's it.
So a lot of translators have been quite anxious about being replaced by AI. How do you keep humans central in this process, in your opinion? And you already touched upon it briefly, but what's your vision on human in the loop in your processes?
I know and I can hear them. I'm aware of how things are happening across, and all. I will again come to the point I earlier mentioned, that it always depends on the. We should not use technology just because it exists. We should first think of our processes and where exactly we need what technology. If that kind of framework we are following, then it's not going to replace humans at all. It is going to work as an smart assistant, so to say. I mean, like I mentioned about the glossy terms, I am sure, I've never the I worked with so many translators and reviewers, but I've never seen heard any of them like not complaining about these manual processes, be it the glossy term checking and the typos and all. So I think like that. it is a smart assistant which is cutting off all these manual efforts, and then the translators can focus more on the quality, the creative side of the localization. Then it's going to be really really helpful, and that's how I envision it. I don't see it as a tool, and of course it has to do a lot with the management and who decides like what tools they are going to use. So if you are looking on the holistic picture, like how and where you want what tool, and there are tons of them out there in the market. And again, I'm thankful to Crowding. They have been doing a lot in terms of like developing AI agents, like hearing the user's pain points and then improving. So like working backwards, going to the pain point and then thinking, do we really need a tool at this step, or is it doable by humans? And if doable, is it like a lot of manual process, or is it a quality work?
Yeah, I'm heavily involved with some of the crowd and AI work behind the scenes, and I'm happy to report that crowd and really takes into account the feedback of linguists in particular in the development of their AI tools, and that's working out for the better, I might say as well.
I can share one example where it shows that how user what is the user what kind of user obsession is crowding working with. So I mean, I came up with this idea of AI source text agent, and I shared this idea. So the crowding, for your audience, crowding has a user feedback or user suggestion platform where anyone who is using crowding, they can come up with suggestions to improve the process, and it will help the people worldwide, not only them. So I came up with this idea, and crowding, they liked the idea, and they said they will be like developing, and they worked on that. So yeah, again.
Who knew that it's good to listen to your customers and users? That's such a novel idea. It makes me wonder. Can you walk us through the way you design your workflows and what goes the thought process that goes through your head when you come up with these AI agent solutions and how that really works?
Yeah, so the way I will go through is, again, once the source text is ingested in my system, be it crowding or any other TMS, I will trigger the AI source text agent so that it goes through all the content. It reads, it checks the typos, the English glossary terms, the style guide, and all. And then it will pop up notifications for me or any other project manager working on that project. And there they can see the comments that there was a typo over there or any glossy term was missing there. So now that we are like we have completely checked the source content, we are cutting off this fear of like cascading those errors into the 10 or 20 languages, whatever is there in your catalog. And then I mean, if it's a help content or a marketing content, I will plug in the AI pre-translate agent so that it can again start from scratch, translate, so that the translators don't have to manually do all the work. And if it's, I mean, highly sensitive content, for example, some kind of legal update or some highly visible UI elements where humans are needed, I won't trigger the AI pre-translate thing. I will just step in the my linguists or the reviewers or translator. So it depends on the content type. And then once the translation part is done, I will trigger in the AI proofreading agent so that again the thing that AI source text agent was doing in the English content or source, whatever your source uh, content is in, so it will do the same to the translated content. Again, like keeping in mind the glossary, because we still don't have any AI glossary agent, but I mean, my idea is in the coming months we will see such an agent that will again only specifically check for the glossy terms, so we are 100% sure that there's no mismatch or there's no inconsistency in the localized content. And finally it will go to the manual reviewer where they will check all the comments that these AI tools have added on specific segments or about any words, any context missing part or glossy term missing part, and then it goes live. Voila.
Of course, translation doesn't happen in a silo. It requires collaboration with stakeholders across the organization often. How do you collaborate with other teams like engineering or product when building AI enhanced workflows?
Thanks for asking, because I think this is one of the root causes of why we uh, still see quality issues in the localized content. Because I mean, some of the teams, they don't consider localization at a part of their product life cycle. But what I suggest is like uh, plug in the localization part right from the beginning. The moment you are thinking about your content in your source language and um, whatever market it is, think right from there, like how your content will fit in in that marketplace. And I mean, if you keep the localization team in the loop right from the beginning, they will be knowing throughout the process the thought behind a specific segment or a specific piece, so they are well prepared and they are ahead. I mean, they will be not getting the content in the last minute and then thinking what was the contest, and there comes the vicious circle of queries and I mean project managers and language leads and reviewers and whatnot. So I mean that also cut up that pain point. So I mean, I try to reach out whenever I see about a new release or I hear about a new release. I reach out to the product owners and the engineering teams, which are and also the LQ teams, because they might be having some screenshots. And one more thing here, I mean, Cloudin offers these. API plugins, and Figma is one fantastic tool that anyone can use, and it gives you a lot of, I mean, visibility about your content. I mean, it shows you exactly how your localized content on look on the platform, and that gives a lot of advantage to the translators, because if they see how the content will appear, they can work on the length, they can work on the wordings, and also so that I mean things doesn't come back in the last minute after the release. There I have seen a lot of these things happening, like on the day of release itself I've seen content coming back to say, hey, it is stretching beyond the button or the given space. So those things will not happen if you think right from the beginning and if you use these tools like Figma.
Yeah, it's funny that you should mention that. Crowdin, of course, has hundreds of integrations, and it's one of the main attraction points of using the platform, I think. But the Figma integration seems to come back time and again, and it's not the first time that I've heard somebody sing its praises. Context is everything for translators, and it's so important to have a window into where something fits in the software process, continuous localization. This really is helpful. Stakeholders have concerns at times when introducing AI. What are some of the concerns that you've encountered with or about introducing AI, and how do you address them?
I've seen mostly concerns if you we are talking about translators, again the same thing, that is the tool going to replace them? And again, I don't want to repeat that. So it depends on how you design your workflows and how you see different elements of your process, and that's always the primary thing. And talking about other stakeholders, I mean, hear mostly since I'm in Europe, and you know how we are into the GDPR and other acts and everything. So we need to be like we need to be in our toes all the time if it's a legal content and if it's something related to the financial institutions or banking and all. So I mean, there comes the I think I did a pilot on premises thing. I was reading some interesting things about how different teams across the world are using Olama to have the small models installed on their laptops and then trained. I just a disclaimer: I'm not a deep tech guy, so I just used my stakeholder coordination thing. I was jumping here and there, going to different engineering teams to see if they can help, and some of them really used the on-premises thing, and they trained their models using the RAG process, and they trained with the like the whole GDPR documents they had. They trained their models on that, and when they reviewed the new content, it was flagging the terms, and it was so fantastic to see that no, that model, your on-premises model, is not going to look anywhere outside. It will be only referring to the documents you are giving it. So again, consider it as a smart assistant which has like hundreds of brains, and it can read like thousands of words in a fraction of seconds and always refer to the documents you want it to refer, not on the internet, not on the social media, not taking things from there. So
Since you have such interesting experience implementing AI at larger companies like Amazon, I'm particularly interested in your experience with that because there's a lot of failures nowadays trying to implement AI. What are the common blockers to AI adoption and localization, and how can we overcome them, you think?
I think again it goes back to how you design your workflows. If you just go for the AI tools available in the market just for the sake of it, because you are no, you have this FOMO that all others are doing and you are still not doing AI, so you must do it. Then I think it's going to be, you will be seeing troubles in the way. But if you design your workflow wisely, if you start backwards, if you see that, hey, my workflow is like my translators, they have to do a lot of manual work checking the glossy terms. So you will definitely not look into the AI pre-translate agent. You will aim to deploy the AI glossary agent or AI proofreading agent, because in your case the pain point is inconsistency with the glossy terms. So these are the small things you need to consider while designing your processes, that where is your pain point. I mean, you should not just go and buy subscription and install those apps and just tell your translators that, hey, you need to use AI for everything. It doesn't work like that. I think most of the failures are because people are not actually thinking backwards. They are not looking for their pain points. They are doing it just because the technology is available and it's a buzzword, everybody's using it. So yeah.
One of the big advantages I believe with AI nowadays is that they're not just large language models; they're really large learning models that they can learn over time. So I was just wondering what your viewpoint is on using translator and reviewer feedback to perfect the AI, and how do you incorporate that in your workflows?
Great. I'm glad that you asked. I mean, this is how I've been using it, and I think it's a mutual process where everyone is getting benefited from each other. Be it an AI agent, for example, if the AI agent, the glossy agent, it has missed some glossy part because of some disconnect with the context, or in some languages, like for example, I come from India, my native language is Hindi. So there will be instances where the glossy term won't fit exactly in your sentence. So you have to make tweaks there. And sometimes these agents, or however smart they are, they can miss the point that why the term was tweaked, and it can flag it. So there comes your translator who has s- uh, experience working with that language, and they can like retrain your model by putting the comments there, by giving more context that why that exact term was used in a different way as compared to how it is in the glossary. So for the next occurrence, the agent will know that okay, so it can be tweaked in those contexts. I see it. I mean, that is the way exactly I see it moving forward and getting smarter, and also helping the translators, because the more smarter it would become, the more helpful it will be for the translators and reviewers. And I mean, I just want to add an additional point here, because I mean, most of the teams, I don't see them investing in training of the translators and reviewers. I mean, their localization team, the overall team. And I see that's also a big pain point, and the point that most of the teams are missing. Because if you just expect your people, your team, to just, I mean, come and shine with the tools and all, it's not going to happen. I mean, this space is changing a lot. I mean, not every day would be like too much to say this. Every hour things are changing, new tools are coming, new agents are coming, new models are coming. So you need to invest your team. If you invest properly, if you help them with the trainings, they will be like getting better, and they will, then your overall process will be better, and the quality, you will see the results in your quality.
What advice do you have for localization teams that are starting to explore what the best AI implementations are? And do you run pilots, or do you present metrics to your management team to get buy-in for an implementation?
Great question, I'm glad that you asked it. I mean, yes, so I would suggest to start with small. First, think of, I mean, for example, if a team is just localizing their newsletters, most probably they won't need any AI tool, because the content is so small in scale. It's doable by humans, and it doesn't make sense to use such expensive tools. But if any product team is launching products, or already having some products, and it, be it in 10 language or 20 languages, there it makes sense to come think about the whole package again, going back to the workflow, like how many people you have in your team, and where are the manual works, where the your team members are struggling with repetitive tasks, be it like not being able to use the translation memory correctly because of the tool limitations and all, or again check manually checking those terms consistency and whatnot. So it depends, always depends on the context. I would suggest, think about your processes, your pain points. Where do you need the technology? And then start small. I mean, start with a pilot with one language pair, then iterate, see where were the pain points, if they were addressed, what were the issues during that pilot. And then again, if you want, I mean, if you want, you can repeat with the same language pair, or maybe add an additional language. If you are working with only one language, that's also fine, but you can add more resources there. You can add more translators or reviewers to see if they can seeing things differently. And then when you are satisfied with the results, go for go scale it, I mean, in all language pairs.
Yeah, maybe one of the most difficult things nowadays is to get a good grasp on where AI is truly going in the next couple of years. So maybe one last question in parting for you. Can you give us your prediction on where you see AI driven localization workflows? So we're just taking that sliver and not the whole shebang, so to speak. But where do AI-driven localization workflows go in the next few years, in your opinion, or where would you like to see them go, even?
I will come back to my latest project that I did. There, the I mean, the biggest challenge was which model to use, because you know how many models are out there, and we did a comparative analysis of like different models from OpenAI. OpenAI itself has a lot of models, a big list of models. Then Mistral, uh, DeepSeek, because it was making a lot of buzz out there, and Anthropic and Gemini. And in our use case, we found that OpenAI models, the O3 model, was doing a fairly good job in the type of content that we were doing. So, do a comparative analysis of all the tools out there and think about your use case. And I mean, if you work like this, then designing your workflow would be more easier, because you will have a broad overview about the cost also, because it matters. See, you can't just spend like this on a number of tools. So start from there, analyze the tools out there, then design your workflow, see where you exactly need the technology, fill in the gaps, and maybe through different tools. If you are using crowding, that's great. If you're not, I highly recommend looking into the platform,
We
because
appreciate that.
yeah, uh, mm, if other platforms also they are integrating AI tools, so and then look into other API integration that can be useful, like the Figma. We already talked about that. So I see uh, it it as a smart assistant helping humans and in the localization process. And I mean, the more we step backward and uh, think backwards and think from the pain point, the more useful it will be. So my suggestion to any localization team is think about your pain points, make a workflow, and then involve your team, train your team, use the resources that are fitting in your case, not just because everybody is using that model, you must use that model as well. It doesn't work like that. You need to analyze and think about your use cases.
Awesome. Sashi, thank you so very much for spending some time with us today and giving us your enlightening vision on localization workflows. We'll keep an eye on you in the future. And anybody who gets stuck with AI workflows can give you a ring as well, I'm sure. Thank you very much for your help today, and we look forward to talking to you soon sometime as well.
Thank you, Stefan. It was nice talking to you. I mean, sharing experiences is always great.
Well, folks, that's a wrap on today's episode of the Agile Localization Podcast by Crowden. We hope you found it as insightful as we did. If you enjoyed today's conversation and want to learn more about how leading companies are managing their multilingual content efficiently, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. Thank you for tuning in. For more resources on how to streamline your localization process, visit crowden.com. See you next time.